You see, the world will try to convince you that the more available you are, the more valuable you must be. That if you answer every call, respond to every message, show up to every gathering, and bend for every favor, then somehow that makes you more loved, more respected, more important. But let me tell you something that most people learn the hard way. Constant availability is not a always available, always invisible. The hidden cost of saying yes sign of strength. It's not a badge of honor. It's a slow drain of your energy, your focus, and your purpose. Because the truth is, if you're always available, you start becoming invisible. You fade into the background of other people's lives while forgetting to show up in your own. Being valuable is about quality, not quantity. It's about depth, not just presence. It's about understanding that your time, your energy, your wisdom, they are not infinite. They are sacred. And what's sacred shouldn't be tossed around like it's protect your energy, like it's sacred disposable. Because when you make yourself too easy to reach, too easy to borrow, too easy to interrupt, people start taking your presence for granted. They start assuming you'll always be there, always ready, always saying yes. And before you know it, your days are spent living in reaction to other people's plans while your dreams sit in the corner collecting dust. You've got to make a decision. Are you going to be everyone's emergency contact? Or are you going to be the architect of your destiny? Are you going to be stretched thin trying to keep everyone else happy? Or are you going to pull back and focus on building the power of no? Boundaries are doors. You control something meaningful with your life? Because let me tell you, being valuable means learning the power of no. It means understanding that boundaries are not walls. They're doors that you control. You choose who comes in. You choose how much access they get. You choose what you give and when. Stop thinking that being busy makes you important. Stop thinking that being constantly on call means you're loved. Real love respects your limits. Real respect honors your time. And real success requires solitude, discipline, and focused energy, not being available to everyone all the time. If you want to build something that lasts, you've got to protect your energy like it's currency, because it is your attention, your focus. Those are your most valuable. Stop confusing busyness with importance assets. And if you're spending them on things that don't feed your purpose, then don't be surprised when you wake up exhausted, uninspired, and unfulfilled. You've got to stop being so easy to get. Start being rare. Start being deliberate. Let your presence mean something. Don't just show up because you were invited. Show up because it aligns with who you are and where you're going. People should feel it when you walk in the room. Not because you're loud or flashy, but because your energy has been preserved, protected, and sharpened. Your presence should carry weight, not be scattered all over the place. That's what makes you valuable. And yes, some people won't like it when you pull back. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. They'll say you're selfish. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Because their discomfort with your growth is not your responsibility. Your job is not to be liked by everyone. Your job is to be aligned with your purpose. Your job is real success requires solitude, discipline, and focus to fulfill the assignment that was put on your life, not to fulfill everybody's expectations. You have a calling, and that calling requires your full attention. It requires you to be intentional with your time, ruthless with your boundaries, and unapologetic about your priorities. You can't be everything to everyone and still have energy left to be something to yourself. You can't keep pouring out while never getting filled. That's not service. That's self-neglect. So, if you want to be truly valuable, learn to be selective. Learn to say, not now. Learn to say, I can't make it. Learn to say, this doesn't serve me right now. Not from a place of arrogance, but from a place of learn to be selective and unapologetic about priorities awareness. Awareness of who you are, what you're building, and where you're headed. Because the most powerful people in the world aren't the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones who know exactly when to say no. They're the ones who know that every yes is a trade. Every time you say yes to someone else's urgency, you might be saying no to your own goals. Every time you jump to answer someone else's call, you might be silencing the voice inside of you, trying to guide you toward purpose. Being valuable is not about popularity. It's about impact. It's about being remembered for something meaningful. It's about leaving behind more than exhaustion and burned out memories. It's about standing firm in who you are, even when it means disappointing people who are used to having all of you for free. People will try to guilt you into staying accessible. They'll throw words at you like, you've changed, or you're not there like you used to be. And you know, every yes is a trade. Choose wisely. What? They're right. You have changed. You're not there like you used to be because you finally realized that you can't keep showing up for everybody else and still expect to show up for yourself. Growth will make you unavailable for gossip. It'll make you unavailable for drama. It'll make you unavailable for meaningless conversations and surface-level friendships that drain your spirit but never pour back in. And that's not rudeness. That's maturity. Stop trying to prove your loyalty by being over-accessible. Your worth is not measured by how many people you please. It's measured by how aligned you are with your purpose. It's measured by how growth makes you unavailable for gossip and drama. Boldly, you protect what you're building. Because the more valuable something is, the harder it is to get to. Diamonds aren't found on the sidewalk. Gold doesn't sit on the surface. The most treasured things in life are protected, rare, and respected. And you need to start treating yourself the same way. You want to elevate, then you've got to separate. You've got to separate your identity from other people's expectations. You've got to separate your self-worth from how often you're needed. Because the truth is, some people don't value you. They just value your availability. They like that you'll pick up when they call. They like that you'll say yes, even when you're tired. But the moment you say no, the moment you prioritize your peace, their tone changes. Let it. Let the ones who were only attached to your accessibility fall away, because the ones who value your peace is non-negotiable presence will respect your distance. Understand this. Your peace is not up for negotiation. Your growth is not up for debate. Your time is not a group project. You don't need a consensus to pull back. You don't need validation to choose solitude. You don't need approval to protect your energy. You just need clarity. Clarity about what matters. Clarity about who deserves access. Clarity about where your time is most effectively spent. You have dreams that require focus. You have gifts that require nurturing. You have a future that demands more of you than just being constantly available to people who would never do the same for you. You can't run a race while constantly looking over your shoulder to check if everyone's okay with your pace. Run your race. Keep your eyes forward. Let the noise fall behind you. This world rewards those who know how to manage their energy. The ones who say no to distractions. The ones who guard their mornings. The ones who guard your energy, guard your destiny off sacred time to think, to build, to rest, to refuel. Because burnout is real, And burnout doesn't happen when you do too much of what you love. It happens when you do too much of what drains you. You're not here to be everything to everyone. You're not a 247 hotline. You're not an emotional dumping ground. You're a human being with purpose, with value, with limited time. And you've got to start acting like it. The most successful people you see, they're not always the smartest. They're not always the most talented. But they are disciplined with their energy. They are unavailable to distractions. They say no to almost everything. So they can say yes to what matters most. That's the kind of focus it takes to win. That's the kind of mindset that creates legacies. And don't think for 1 second that being less available makes you cold. No. What makes you cold is being so overextended that you become numb. What makes you cold is always saying yes while resentment. Be rare. Presence should carry weight, not be scattered, quietly builds inside you. What makes you cold is giving so much of yourself that there's nothing left to give to the person who matters most, you. So if you want to reclaim your time, reclaim your joy, reclaim your clarity, start here. Be valuable, not available. Don't pick up every time the phone rings. Don't show up to every event. Don't feel guilty for saying, not this time. You're allowed to be unavailable while you heal. You're allowed to be unavailable while you focus. You're allowed to be unavailable while you build. This is not the season to be everywhere. This is the season to be effective, to be valuable, not available. The shift that changes. Everything move in silence to create without distraction, to prioritize peace over popularity. Because popularity fades, but peace builds foundation. Popularity fades, but purpose stands eternal. When people know you'll always say yes, they stop seeing it as a gift and start treating it like a guarantee. When they know they can always reach you, they stop appreciating your presence. But when you pull back, when you create space, when you become intentional with your time, suddenly your presence becomes powerful. Your time becomes meaningful. Your yes becomes valuable. You've got to shift the energy. You've got to train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Stop overgiving and calling it kindness. Stop overextending and calling it loyalty. Stop confusing exhaustion for achievement. You're not here to impress. Stop confusing exhaustion with achievement. The world. You're here to impact it. You've been tricked into thinking that self-sacrifice is noble when, in reality, unchecked self-sacrifice becomes self-destruction. You keep burning yourself out just to keep others warm. But who's lighting the fire for you? You keep showing up, giving out, pouring into everyone. But who's pouring into you? That's not loyalty. That's leaking. That's not service. That's self-abandonment. And it ends today, because value doesn't beg. Value doesn't chase. Value doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Value knows that its worth is not up for debate. When you walk in alignment with your worth, your energy becomes a magnet. You don't need to fight for space. You create it. You true value doesn't chase. It creates, don't need to compete. You just continue building, continue focusing, continue evolving. Now, let me tell you something they won't teach you in school, and most people won't tell you in life. If you want to be valuable, you've got to get comfortable with being misunderstood. Not everyone's going to get it. Not everyone's going to clap for your boundaries. Not everyone's going to appreciate the version of you that chooses growth over people-pleasing. But that's okay. Growth is lonely, elevation is uncomfortable, and purpose often requires isolation before it brings revelation. You've got to learn to be misunderstood. Growth requires distance. I'm not available for that. And you don't have to explain. You don't have to over-justify. You don't owe a 3-paragraph message about why you're choosing your peace today. Because if someone requires you to destroy yourself in order to please them, that's not a relationship. That's manipulation. And you weren't born to be manipulated. You were born to be mighty. The deeper your value, the more selective your presence becomes. You don't see CEOs answering every call. You don't see world-class athletes stopping their training to explain themselves to critics. You don't see legends wasting time arguing on social media. Why? Because they've energy is a resource. Spend it wisely. Learned this principle. Energy is a resource. Spend it wisely. You don't need to be rude to be unavailable. You don't need to cut people off with anger. You just need to decide that your life matters enough to stop giving it away to every little distraction, every emotional vampire, every drama-filled situation that adds no value and leaves you drained. This is your wake-up call. Start guarding your mornings. Start protecting your nights. Start turning off the noise. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're finally focused on being better for yourself. Protect your mornings, your nights, and your peace. Let people think what they want. Let them say what they say. Because at the end of the day, they don't pay your bills. They don't fight your battles. And they won't build your legacy. That's on you. So what if they don't understand? So what if they call you distant? So what if they say you've changed? That's the point. You were never supposed to stay the same. You were supposed to evolve. You were supposed to elevate. And elevation always creates separation. Elevation creates separation. Don't fear it, but don't let that scare you. Let it shape you. It's time you stopped making yourself so easy to reach. Start making your presence so rooted in excellence that when you do show up, it shifts the atmosphere. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you've done the inner work. You've cleared the clutter. You've removed the chaos. You've chosen alignment. And remember this, when you become unavailable to the nonsense, you become available to the next level. When you say no to distractions, you say yes to destiny. When you stop engaging with things that drain you, you make space for what develops you. And that's where the magic happens. The next season of when you say no to distractions, you say yes to destiny, your life will not require more availability. It will require more focus. It will require more boundaries. It will require more silence. It will require more rest. Because your value is not in your hustle. It's in your clarity. It's in your decisions. It's in your ability to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. And this is what I no longer tolerate. People can't respect what you won't reinforce. If you keep answering every call, they'll keep calling. If you keep showing up every time, they'll keep expecting it. But if you start saying not now, if you start creating space, if you start holding the line, people will adjust. And the ones who truly value you, they won't disappear. They'll rise to the occasion because your growth forces everyone around you to either evolve or exit. You want to see who's really for you? Set a boundary. Start saying no. Start protecting your time. Boundaries reveal who's really for you. Watch how they respond. The ones who truly love you won't guilt-trip you for choosing growth. They won't manipulate you into constant accessibility. They'll understand. They'll respect it. Because real ones don't punish your progress. They celebrate it. And here's something else. When you become less available, you become more magnetic. It's not about playing games or being arrogant. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you no longer tolerate being depleted just to keep the peace. Your peace is priceless. Your attention is premium. And your time, that's your most valuable investment. So stop spending it on things that give no be magnetic. Your peace is priceless return. Some of you are tired, not because life is hard, but because you're constantly overcommitted to the wrong people, wrong environments, wrong conversations, and your soul is screaming for space, for stillness, for separation. Listen to that. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's your intuition telling you it's time to pull back. Pull back so you can focus. Pull back so you can hear God more clearly. Pull back so you can build with intention, not obligation. You don't have to be everything to everybody. You just have to be true to yourself. And sometimes that means becoming unavailable, not out of listen to your soul. It's time to pull back and refocus pettiness, but out of purpose. Because the world is loud. Everybody wants something. Everyone is selling, asking, needing. And if you don't learn how to disconnect, you'll drown in the noise. You'll become a slave to the external, forgetting the internal. And you weren't made for that. You weren't created to be everybody's option. You were created to walk in power, clarity, and divine design. You've got to stop apologizing for evolving. Stop shrinking to fit in places you've outgrown. Stop explaining your silence to people who never valued your voice. Not everything needs your response. Not every text needs a reply. Not every opportunity is aligned. Choose alignment over attention, purpose over popularity. Start choosing alignment over attention, purpose over popularity, impact over interaction. Because the more valuable you become, the more intentional you must be with your time. There will be seasons where you have to disappear to elevate. Seasons where your circle gets smaller and your boundaries get tighter. That's not isolation. That's incubation. That's growth in its purest form. And while the world spins in chaos, you move in clarity. While they chase validation, you chase vision. While they broadcast everything, you build in silence. Because you're not trying to prove, you're trying to produce. You're not chasing noise. You're mastering your lane. When they can't reach you like they used to, they'll notice, and not all of them will like it. But the ones who truly matter will adjust because they understand that your availability should never cost your value. Your value should determine your availability, not the other way around. And here's the truth. Every time your availability should never cost your value, you say yes to something. You're saying no to something else. So choose wisely. Choose purpose over pressure. Choose focus over favors. Choose peace over popularity. That's how you win long term. You weren't put on this earth to run on empty just to keep everyone else full. You weren't born to burn out while everyone else takes. You were born to rise, to lead, to build. And sometimes rising requires you to retreat, recalibrate, and realign. Don't be afraid to go quiet. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to choose you. Because the most valuable people on this planet aren't everywhere. They're selective. They're focused. They're intentional. And they're at peace with not being liked by everyone because they weren't trying to be liked. They were trying to be retreat to realign. Silence builds, strength effective. This world will honor your clarity, but only if you honor it first. So start today. Reclaim your time, protect your energy, and walk with the boldness of someone who finally understands you are valuable and you no longer need to be available to prove it. Now, let me ask you something personal. What are you available for? Because your availability reveals your priorities. Your priorities are shown by your availability. Your schedule reveals your standards. Your life reflects what you've been allowing. And if you've been feeling stuck, drained, frustrated, it might not be because you lack time. It might be because you've given your time away too freely to things that don't serve you anymore. That's the silent killer of dreams. Not laziness, not even fear, but distraction. And distraction is a thief dressed in the disguise of urgency. It shows up in the form of unnecessary conversations, meaningless scrolling, emotional chaos that's not even yours. And before you know it, your whole day is gone. And worse, your whole life is distraction. The silent killer of dreams off track. But not anymore. Starting today, you stop being available to anything that costs your peace. You stop entertaining people who drain your spirit. You stop saying yes just to avoid guilt. You stop showing up out of obligation and start showing up with intention. And the best part, when you do that, when you start operating from value, you don't just protect yourself, you empower others. You teach people how to rise. You show them that it's okay to set boundaries, that it's okay to prioritize mental health, that it's okay to choose solitude over chaos. You become an example not of perfection, but of strength. Because value doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It simply exists fully and freely without needing permission or applause. You've been valuable this whole time. But now you're going to act like it. So stop giving people discounts on your time. Stop letting access to you. Protect your peace and teach others to do the same. Be cheap. Start moving like you're building something sacred because you are. Your peace is sacred. Your focus is sacred. Your future is sacred. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. Saying no will feel heavy. Turning down invitations will feel isolating. Watching people fall off because you no longer serve their convenience. It'll hurt. But what hurts more is staying stuck. What hurts more is living a life that pleases everyone else, but starves your soul. What hurts more is waking up one day, realizing you lived for everyone but yourself. You've got one life, one legacy, one shot to build something real. And that requires discipline. That requires silence. Stop giving. Discounts on your time require selective presence. It requires being unavailable to everything that weakens you and fully committed to everything that strengthens you. So from this moment on, walk differently, move differently, guard your schedule like a vault, protect your energy like a treasure, and speak only when your words build, not when they're begged for. Let people feel your absence. Let your silence echo louder than your words ever could. Because when walk differently, move differently, you are the value you stop being everywhere. You finally start going somewhere. They might not understand it, they might not support it, but that's okay. They don't have to walk your path. You do. And at the end of your journey, when the lights fade and the noise dies down, what's going to matter most is not how many people you pleased, but how many moments you honored your value, how many days you chose your peace, how many decisions you made from strength, not pressure. So don't just hear this speech, live it. Let the world know you're no longer available to be drained. You're no longer available to be disrespected. You're no longer available to be distracted. You are valuable. You are focused. You are clear. And from now on, you act like it. If you made it this far, drop 100 in the comments so I know you're part of the 1% who's serious about growth.